YouTube and Zoom at the same time. So thank you. Thank you for your patience. Come on in, get comfortable, get your drink or drink. Oh, let me turn down the volume on the YouTube. All right, and turn my phone on Do Not Disturb because it's blowing up. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you guys are very talkative. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, let me just move this here. I promise you we're going to start in just 2 minutes. I just needed to move some things around here. Oh, thank you, Felicia, for popping in. I really appreciate that. I know that you are very busy. You guys, we have Felicia Edelman from Uncle Dave's Housing in the room with us today. I actually interviewed her and her husband, Uncle Dave, on my YouTube channel, and they are just awesome. They have so many group homes here in Los Angeles, but my group homes are actually in Texas. But thank you, Felicia, for being here with us. I really appreciate that. All right, let's see this. As you can see, I'm not as tech savvy as you would think. I'm trying to show the slides. 1 second. All right, now I got the slides up over here. So now I just need to share my screen over here. Okay, and there is a question already. Okay, yes, I see that. Thank you. All right, cool. You guys can use the Q&A if you want to, or you can use the chat. The chat goes to everybody. I think the Q&A only goes to me. Let's share this. And then I also have the live stream going on YouTube. Okay, now, thank you. Let me just do one check before I go right into this and just make sure that you all can see my slides. Can somebody please just let me know that you can see the slides? I want to, there it is. Okay, I'm just going to wait a second for somebody to confirm that you can see the slides. And then I'm going to go right into this. Okay, so far nobody's saying that you can. So, okay, there it is. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me know that you can see the slides. All right, now we can go right into this. Thank you, Andrea, for confirming that you guys can see the slides on the YouTube side. All right. Now, where is my, hold on 1 second. Okay, I gotta stop the share for a second. Forgive me. Hold on 1 second. There we go. That's what I wanted. All right, so welcome everybody to my live stream today. This is my free masterclass on how to 10x your income with co-living. I'm Katrina Robinson, and I've got 3 group homes that are in San Antonio, Texas, and I live in Los Angeles, California. So I teach people how to set up their group homes, which is basically independent living homes. They're unlicensed group homes, and how to run them on autopilot. So it's not fully passive, but it's sort of passive. So you'll see in the presentation what I'm talking about. So get comfortable. It is very casual. I've got my Fresca here. I will be taking sips of. And it's usually about an hour. Sometimes it goes an hour and a half. It depends on the questions and how far off on tangents I get with the slides. But anyway, this is the 10x your income with co-living. So what I'm going to go over today is the opportunity and the growth, the profit potential, how to open your group home in 6 steps, And then I'll show you how I help people to open their group home in 6 weeks, which is my coaching program. So I'll introduce you to the coaching program, and I'll give you an opportunity to book a call with me if you're interested in that coaching program. And then I also have a self-paced online course too. All right, so let's move it along. So what is co-living? So some people call it a group home, and I call my program Group Home on Autopilot. But to some people, when you say group home, they think of like kids. They think of little kids. But what I'm talking about is actually independent co-living, which means you rent the house out by the room or by the bed. So you might have a room that's a private room, or you might have a room that you put 2 beds in and you rent out each one of the beds in the room. And it's all inclusive. So that means that utilities are included. So somebody rents a bed from you instead of renting out the entire house, they rent the bed from you and they pay one rate, which includes all of their utilities. So their water, electric, internet, it's all included in the one price that they pay. So some people ask me, what is the difference between that and assisted living? So with assisted living, those people need assistance with activities of daily living. So if you're taking notes and you're interested in getting into this type of business, you're going to need to be familiar with the term ADLs, activities of daily living. Because if you're giving out independent housing, you don't want to have anybody that you're bringing in that needs help with ADLs, assistance with activities of daily living. And activities of daily living are bathing, feeding, medication management, toileting. Those are the types of things that assisted living facilities help out with. But what I'm talking about is independent adults who can take care of their own ADLs, their own activities of daily living. That's who I rent out my beds to. Now, you can rent out beds to people who do need help, but what you would do is just outsource that help to a third party. So if, for example, the person has insurance that covers provider hours. If they have insurance that covers provider hours, then maybe they can have a cousin or a friend or somebody come over and spend a certain number of hours with them to help them, for example, maybe cook their meals or help them with their laundry or something like that. So that's how you can handle housing people more affordably who actually do need help. But you in your business and my business, we're not providing the assistance, because once you start providing assistance with services, now you require a license. You have to be a licensed assisted living facility. And that is not what I teach. What I teach is independent living. So let me make sure I covered all of my stuff. And as you have questions, as you have comments, throw them in there. I might go off on tangents, but I promise you I will come back and answer everything. So assisted living has patients, whereas independent housing and co-living, we have tenants or residents. I like to use the word resident instead of tenant so that people get it in their minds that it's temporary housing and that they can be put out if they don't follow the rules, even though they really do follow all the tenant rules. So you do still have to go through the eviction process and all of that. I just put it in their minds that they are not tenants, they're residents. So they don't start thinking that they have all of these tenant protections and things like that. And that's another reason why I decided to open in Texas instead of California, because Texas is more landlord friendly versus California that is more tenant friendly. Okay, sometimes people ask me questions about co-living versus a multifamily property. And so they're thinking, well, if you're going to rent out by the bed or by the room, then I might as well get a multi-unit. I might as well get a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex. But co-living is better than multifamily in a lot of different ways. One of them is that you get a higher return on your investment than a multifamily property. And it's because when you have a multifamily, you have higher maintenance costs. When you have multifamily, you have more than one kitchen. You have more than one kitchen. You have more than one septic tank. You have more than one everything. You have more than one utility bill versus just a residential house, one house, and you're renting out the beds or you're renting out the rooms. Now you only have one kitchen. You only have one septic tank. You have one of all of these things that multiply when you have multifamily. And then also you have better loan options when you do the co-living. And that's because on the co-living, it's basically a residential house. So you can get a fixed interest loan, 30-year fixed interest loan on a co-living house because all it is a single family home, but you've broken it up and now you're collecting multiple rents on a single family home. So that's why you can get the same loan rates on a co-living house as you get on a regular single family home. Let me just double check and see who's asking questions. Oh, thanks, Andrea. I appreciate it. Okay, good. I don't see any questions right now. And also with co-living, you make 10 times as much as the single family home. And I'm going to show you. I'll show you on the slides. My favorite slide is coming up. Okay, this is the boring slide. This is the outlook on the business. But whenever you get into a business, you do want to make sure that that business has some growth potential. You don't want to get into something that's just trendy and it's going to go away. You want something that's going to continue to give you money. So this is the slide where I give you a bunch of stats. So the aging baby boomer population, I'll give you just a few stats because they're boring to me. But 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 every day. So that's a trend that's going to continue through 2030. So 1 in 5 Americans will be 65 or older by 2030. Now, a lot of those people are going to need that supportive housing that I was just talking about. They're going to need that assisted living that I was talking about. But not all of them. Not all of them are going to need that full-scale assisted living facility. Plus, assisted living is expensive. Assisted living is like $5,000. Depends on where you are in the country, but it goes from $5,000 up per month. And that could even be in a shared room. And so it prices out a lot of people, especially the people who don't actually need help. They just don't have enough income to have their own place. And they actually like the companionship of being around other people too. So not everybody needs a nursing home. And that's where group homes like mine and yours step in, because the demand is only rising for these aging people who need a place to live that's not going to take their entire paycheck. And then obviously we have this housing affordability crisis. So a lot more working professional people are getting into situations like co-living because it's just too expensive. It's too expensive to live in a nice area and have your own place. So some co-living not facilities, but some co-living homes are in really nice areas. And it's because these working professionals want to live in a nice area, but they can't afford their own place. So they just rent out a room. And then also 55% of low-income renters spend more than 30% of their income on their housing. So that's a demographic that I like to cater to, is the people who are low-income renters who need affordable housing, and that's where I step in. And then decline in private room supply. So basically new construction, it favors luxury or large single family homes, not affordable housing. That's just not something that's being built right now. So as private housing costs rise, these room rentals and co-living rentals offer this scalable solution. And so a lot of landlords who have single family homes are pivoting into co-living because they can benefit by making 10 times as much money on their property. And they can also help people too. And then that last bullet there, the social isolation and mental health. So adults with mental health challenges. Now, I'm not talking about people who actually need a caregiver. I'm talking about people who maybe just a little bit slow. Those are the types of people who I house too. They might have a disability, or maybe they're recovering from a substance abuse facility or something, and they thrive in this structured and shared environment. So the group homes give them that structure that they need, and it also gives them a community, not just a roof over their heads. Oh, and there's another stat for you. So 1 in 4 adults in the United States lives with a disability or a mental health condition. So when you combine all of these different things, these different aging demographics, housing shortages, affordability issues, and just the shifting preferences of people because it costs too much to live here, co-living homes and independent group homes, they're not a trend. It's something that's just going to increase in the future. Okay, so why should you even listen to me? Hi, I'm Katrina. I'm Katrina Robinson, and I have three co living houses in San Antonio, Texas, but I actually live in California. So, because of that, people started asking me to help them to open their group homes and also to teach them efficiencies and how to improve their operations if they already have a group home, because it's a little unheard of to have a group home somewhere where you don't live. And so I started teaching people how to work on efficiencies and put systems in place so that they can have this home that is not completely passive. It's not passive at all. I'm not claiming that, but it's kind of passive. It's kind of passive. And I have kind of unique ways that I teach people on how to run their group homes. So now that's my focus. Now I have my three group homes. I love my three group homes. A lot of people have a lot more than that. I just have my three. But my focus now is to help help aspiring group home owners to start and run their own profitable group homes so that they have this purpose driven business without getting so overwhelmed by the process. So I just give you the step by step. First, you do this, then you do this, then you do that. Now, by the end of this presentation, you should be able to go off and open up your group home, and that's wonderful. I'm going to teach you the 6 steps to open your group home, but I will also invite you, if you want more hands-on support, to sign up for my coaching program. So how did I even get into this? I was looking for, I'll make the story short because I could go off on a tangent, but I was basically looking for something that would bring me some extra income. And I've been into real estate for a long time. I joined the military. And so I had the 0% VA loan, and I started buying houses and selling houses and buying and selling. And I just kept doing that. And then finally, I kept a house. Now, when I kept it, I was making $200 profit, which is respectable on a house, is making $200 profit. You charge the people who live in there $2,000 and your mortgage is $1,800, you're pocketing $200 a month. So I was really happy with my 200. But then I started going down the rabbit hole of assisted living and all that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can make so much more money. So I decided I would go into assisted living. Then I had a personal situation. My sister passed away and I got custody of her 2 kids. And I just didn't want the headache and the overhead of having caregivers I had to pay for and people who were cooking the meals and all that. And I did not want to end up on the news. So that's why I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do assisted living anymore. But a friend of mine mentioned independent, unlicensed living to me. And I immediately thought unlicensed means illegal. But I was wrong. I did my research, and unlicensed just means that you're not providing any services that require a license. So I decided to try it out. And once I tried it out, I never looked back. And it was just something that I love. I'm so glad that I got into independent housing because my first house was humongous. It had 15 beds. And I was charging $560 a month, which was way too low, but I was charging $560 a month. And after all the expenses were paid, I was making $5,000 profit, $5,000 a month profit on that one house. So I was sold after that. And I just stacked up my money and bought another house. And then I bought the third house. All right. That was not according to my notes at all, but hey, let's go on to the next slide. Let me just see if anybody had any questions so far. Okay. I see the chat, but I don't see questions. So I think we're good. Yep, we're good. Okay. So let's get into the profit potential. All right. So a typical single family resident, single family home profits you about $200 a month. So on the left-hand side, you see this house right here. It's a 4-bedroom house. And of course, it depends on where you are in the country. It depends on how much properties are and all that stuff. But let's just take this example. So $2,000 is how much you're charging this family to live in this house. And your mortgage is $1,800. So $2,000 minus $1,800, that's $200. So that's the profit, $200. Now let's compare that same house to co-living. So let's take that exact same property and just turn it into co-living by putting 2 beds in each of the rooms. So let's go on to, next slide. So if it's a 4-bedroom house, and you're putting 2 beds in each room, and let's say you're charging $500 a month. Now, it really depends on where you're in the country. 500 is pretty low. Usually it's 600, 650 is kind of the low end, is 650 right now. But let's just, for fun, say you're going to charge $500 a month. So $500 a month times 8 beds, that's $4,000. And then subtract the 1,800 for the mortgage. Hopefully everybody's tracking with me. Subtract the 1,800 for the mortgage, and your profit is 2,200. So if you compare $200 over here, $200, I keep going to the next slide. If you compare $200 to 2,200, that is 10x. It's more than 10x. Okay, so if you charge $600 a month and you've got 8 beds, that's $4,800. That's shared rooms in a 4-bedroom house. So now you're making even more than 10x because you're comparing $200 profit versus $3,000. Now, you might be thinking, but wait, didn't you say we're going to cover utilities? Yes, we are going to cover utilities. But even if you cover utilities, let's look at this example here. 8 beds times $650 a month. That's $5,200. That's the gross. Minus $1,800, that leaves you $3,400. So even if you were to deduct $1,000 for the utilities, the electricity, the internet, the water, you're still making 10 times as much money by turning this single family home into a co-living home. You're making 10 times as much money on that same house. Is everybody tracking? Give me a tracking if you're tracking. So like I said, when I first opened my house, I know there's a delay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, there's a delay on YouTube, so that's fine. We won't do as much participation. Oh, somebody said, do you have the slide to show? Uh-oh, can you guys see my slides? Somebody tell me you can see my slides. Somebody tell me you can see the slides because I'm just going through these slides. No, can't see the slides. Wow. Okay. Well, let me start to share the slides again because these are the best slides of the slideshow. I thought it was just me. Okay, hold on. Let me try this again. Let me try sharing again. Oh, I've just been talking and thinking y'all are watching these slides and you're not. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to start it over again. Full screen, and then let's go to share. Okay, now somebody tell me you can see the slides. Okay, thank you. Wow. Okay, so because of that, I do want to go backwards just a little bit because it's important. Stop it. Let's do this. All right, let's go here. Okay, tell me you can see the slide with 2 houses side by side. Somebody tell me. Yes, okay, good. Okay, so you've got this single family home on the left-hand side. And the single family home, you are renting it out for $2,000 a month. Okay, and your mortgage is $1,800. So you're profiting $200. Okay, so you're profiting $200. Now, Let's turn that same home, that same 4-bedroom home, into a co-living rental. So let's go to the next slide. So if you turned it into a co-living rental and you've got 2 beds in each one of the rooms and you're charging $500 a month, that's $4,000 gross. Okay, 4,000 gross minus $1,800 because that's how much you have to pay for your mortgage. You have to pay $1,800 for your mortgage. So you're now profiting $2,200. So if you compare 200 on the left-hand side to 2,200 on the right-hand side, that is 10 times. You're making 10 times as much money by taking that same 4-bedroom house. And instead of renting out to one person or one family, you rent it out to people as affordable housing. It's to single people as affordable housing. You make 10 times as much money. See, 200 versus 2,000, that's 10 times. All right, now let me just double check and make sure everybody still sees. Okay, good. You can see this. Sorry about that. Okay, I was just on a roll too. Okay, so 500 is very low. That's really, really low. So most of the time you actually make, you're actually charging like 650. Usually it's about 650. So this is also a very low estimate right here. So if you're going to take those 8 beds and charge $600 a month for each bed, that's 8 beds times 600. That's $4,800 gross. Subtract your mortgage, subtract your $1,800, and you're making $3,000 versus $200. So even more than 10x, even more than 10 times as much. And 600 is low too. So really you're looking at 650 is the norm, okay? So 8 beds times $650 a month, you're looking at $5,200 gross. And remember, that's shared rooms, that's shared bedrooms in a 4-bedroom house. But you have to keep in mind that you are going to be paying for the utilities. So even if you cover the electric, the gas, internet, water, you're still going to be making 10 times as much money on that same house if you take that single family rental and instead rent it out to 8 people who are in need of affordable housing. So you see, you're making way more money. You're making 10 times as much money. Is everybody tracking on that? And thank you for the person who said that you can't. Arlen, thank you, Arlen. All right, everybody's tracking. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I know that you're on this call for a reason. You are ready to bet on you. You're ready to bet on you. Oh, by the way, let's go back. Let me just remind you. Let me remind you. Remember, I said that when I was renting out my house, my first house, I had 15 beds. I had 15 beds in that house, and I was charging $560. $560 a month times 15 beds. How much is that? Somebody play with me. Does somebody have their calculator out? What's 15 times 560? 15 times 560. I wonder if you guys can see my when I chat. 8,400. Thank you. 8,400. And my mortgage was $2,000. So if you subtract 2,000 from that, that leaves you 6,400, and then deduct another 1,000 for utilities. And I was profiting more than 5,000. I was profiting 5,400 a month on one property. That was on my first property. So no wonder I got so into group homes. I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And I decided when I got my first group home, I actually had to cash out my retirement so that I could renovate that house, because that house was really bad. It was like, it should have been a complete tear down. But anyway, I renovated that house because I was betting on me. And so what I want you to think about is, what is your why? You're on this call for a reason. You're ready to bet on you. Maybe you just want more money. Maybe you want to help out with the affordable housing crisis, or have more time freedom, or maybe it's a combination of all of these things. But just keep that in mind, because when you open your group home, you're going to have to keep your why at the forefront of your mind, because there will be hard times. This is very simple. Opening a group home is very simple, but it's not easy. It's not easy at all. So you have to keep your why in mind. So if you're taking notes, take that down or take a screenshot of it. And then also, I want you to think about what your life vision is. Where do you see yourself in a year, or where do you see yourself in 3 years or in 5 years? So just take a minute and think about what the vision is that you have for your life. This is something that we do. I do with my coaching clients too in module 1, is we talk about their life vision and how much money their dream life costs and things like that. And also, I want you to think about how much would an extra $2,000 a month, how would that affect your life? That's with one house. That's with one house. My goal for all of my coaching clients is to make at least $2,000 a month on their house. So if you have one house like that, and then you decide to scale and open another, because as soon as you open that first house and you figure out how to do it, opening the next one is very easy. And then opening the next one is very easy, because now you have a network of people to fill your beds too. So 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, you start adding these up on top of your day job if you decide to keep your day job. Some people decide to fire their day job, but just think about what would that do for your life if you had that extra 2,000. All right, let's move on to the system. This is the slide you came for. This is the system. These are the 6 steps that I used to open my group home. So first is mindset, and then business, getting the house, marketing, operations, that's the day-to-day operations, and then is putting everything on autopilot. And how do I know this works? Because I used it. I used it, and I've also taught my coaching clients the same process, and that's how they've opened their houses. So I'm about to show you my client, Kenya, who signed the lease on her property during week 3 of our coaching program. And then she opened her house and had an open house event during week 6 of the coaching. And then she filled 5 of her 9 beds as a result of the open house. And now her house is full. So I'm going to show you her. Now on this slide, you will probably not hear the music, but I do. I hear it blasting in my ears when I play it. So I'm going to play you this slide. Now, Kenya does not own that house. That's a rental. So you can do this. You can do this business in a rental. You don't have to own the house. And that's the question I get a lot is, do you have to own the house? No, you do not have to own the house. Okay, so the first step is getting your mind right. The first step is you need positivity and determination. You need a CEO mindset, which is strategic, decisive, and growth oriented. It's all about using a calendar, outsourcing the things you don't want to do, asking who can do this for me, not how do I get this done. It's about thinking strategically and being obsessed with your win, whatever your win is. So just basically thinking, who can do that for me? And how can I pay for a shortcut? That's the mindset that we need in running your operations from afar. And even if you're going to run your operations in the same city where you live, a lot of the stuff that I teach is still stuff that you need because you don't want to get bogged down by your business. You want everything to be running like a well-oiled machine so that you don't have to be working in your business all the time. You want to be working on your business, not in your business. So it's about systems and not reinventing the wheel. With every task I do, especially if it's something I don't want to do, I'm like, how can I never do that again? Or how can I put this in a system to where I don't have to do it that often or something like that. So that's the CEO mindset. And that is in module 1. And also in module 1, we talk about your why and your dream life number versus your comfortable number and all that. And then let's go on to step 2. Okay, so step 2 is setting up the actual business. That's doing your market research, tracking your expenses and the census, like the number of people that you have in the beds and the vacancies that you have, your business plan. if you're taking notes, there are two things that you need to remember about market research. So when you do market research, it's not just one thing, it's two. You're going to look at the cost of properties in the area, whether you're buying or whether you're renting. Look at the cost of the properties in the area. And then the second part is you're going to look at how much is a bed to rent in the area. So you want to look at private versus semi-private. In this industry, when they say semi-private, that means it's a shared bedroom. If it's a private room, then it's a private room. So you want to know the cost of a private room, a semi-private room, and the cost of a 4-bedroom house, 4-bedroom or bigger house. And then also in module 2, we talk about setting up your LLC, the legal aspects. Now, you don't have to set up an LLC. You don't have to have a legit business because you're really just a landlord, and landlords don't have to have a business. But I want you to. I want you to have a legit business because when you get an LLC, now you can take advantage of tax breaks as a business owner. And you can get a lawyer to do that for you. You don't have to do this by yourself. There's LegalZoom and there's a bunch of other places out there that you can go to, or even a local lawyer. And remember that the biggest tax breaks that are out there, they're not for employees. The biggest tax breaks out there are for business owners, which is why I want you to go legit. So it does cost some money to set up your LLC, but we walk through that. And when you set up your business the right way, and by the way, I am not an accountant. I have to say that I'm not an accountant. In my program, I teach you what I did. That's all it is I'm sharing my knowledge with you. I set up my group homes and now I'm showing you how I did it. And I do have an accountant and I have run past him a lot of these things that I teach in my program. But when you set up your business the right way, you can write off your equipment. You can write off your phone, your home office. If you're living in the local area where your group home is, you can write off your car if you're using your car for more than 50% of the use of that vehicle. Now, my houses are in Texas. I live in California, so I'm not writing off any cars. But when I travel to check on my business, that whole trip is a tax deduction. So the Lyft ride to the airport, the flight, the hotel, all of that is a tax deduction because I'm going to check on my group homes. And you can also deduct expenses that you already pay for. Like, for example, I have internet at my house. I have to run my business on the internet. And so the internet at my house is a tax deduction because I need the internet to run my business. So that's an expense that I would have paid for anyway. Even if I didn't have a business, I would be paying for the internet. So there's a lot that goes into module 2 with the legal aspects and also the market research and the banking. All right, before I go to module 3, let me just take a look and see if I have any questions, because I can just go on and on. Okay, nope, I don't have that. I don't have any questions there. Cancel. All right, let me just double check on the YouTube end. Oh, okay, I got some questions on YouTube. All right. How do you qualify people? Okay, yep, is that a big song? Always good. Systems create. Oh yeah, thank you, Andrea. So I am going to get into the qualifying the people. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. Okay, now we're going to talk about step 3, which is getting the house. So people ask me a lot, what kind of house is good for this? And here's my answer. At least 4 bedrooms, because when you get a 3-bedroom, the profit margin is little, but if you get a 4-bedroom, it jumps. So at least 4 bedrooms. And if you own the house, you can put up walls. You can, like, say you have a formal dining room and you have a breakfast nook, you could turn one of those into a room. If you don't own the house, don't worry about it, but at least 4 bedrooms. Also, no carpet because it just gets too dirty, and no pool. And I usually say 1970s or newer, but I'm not going to say that. It just needs to have a newer roof. An older house is fine. It just needs to have a newer roof. And also the plumbing needs to be up to code. You don't want to have any plumbing issues. And make sure it's in a nice enough neighborhood, not the greatest neighborhood. You want it to be like we're talking about grades, it needs to be like a C-level neighborhood. And that depends on the demographics of your residents too, because if you, for example, if you are catering to working professionals, then they probably have cars. So you probably need space for a parking pad for multiple cars. My residents don't have cars. I might have two residents of the 20 some odd beds that I have. I might have two that have cars, but you need to make sure that there's parking, enough parking for everybody if they have cars. And also make sure it's close to public transportation, especially if you're catering to people who don't have vehicles. Make sure it's close to public transportation. And you know how everybody likes an open concept, open layout? Not for this business. And the more closed in, the better. The more bathrooms, the better. A funky layout is good. So the more closed in is the better. Also, no homeowners association. So no HOA, not because you can't, but because you don't want the headache. HOAs usually have a case of NIMBY, not in my backyard. They don't want this type of housing in their neighborhood. So don't don't go there. Now, if you do end up having to go to court with an HOA, you will win because most of the time, like 90% of the time, the people who you house are covered by Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, which is the Fair Housing Act. There are a lot of different types of people that are covered by the Fair Housing Act, including people with disabilities, and disabilities includes people who are recovering from substance abuse. So a lot of times the people who you're housing are covered by the Fair Housing Act and the HOA will not win. And a lot of HOAs have these made up rules about you can't have more than 3 unrelated people under one roof and things like that. And it just doesn't hold up in court, although they do try to bully you and make you follow those rules. So I just tell all of my coaching clients to stay away from HOAs. Just don't do it in HOA. And like I said, you can do this business in a rental. You don't have to buy the house. And to get the house, you contact landlords. You contact landlords and see if you can find a landlord who's willing to allow you to sublease the property because you're going to be leasing out to other people. And in my coaching program, I give you the script. I give you the exact script to use to email landlords and let them know what you're trying to do and see if they're willing. And then also, I have somebody in my network who I refer my coaching clients to who charges a fee to find you a willing landlord. So you don't have to do that on your own. That's paying for a shortcut right there. You just pay this person and she will find you a willing landlord wherever in the United States that you're located and you're interested in. Okay, now if you're buying the house, there are a lot of different ways to pay for this. You could do a conventional bank loan. Now, if it's not your primary residence, you will probably have to put down 20%. If it's your primary, so let's say you're going to live in the house in one of the rooms, and then you're going to rent out the other rooms, then your down payment is only 3% most of the time. If you're a veteran, then it's 0% if you're going to be in the house and it's your primary residence. And then you can also use other financing, like there's the DSCR loan, which is the debt service coverage ratio loan. So that kind of loan measures the business property's cash flow relative to the debt. So if you can show that your house is going to be making this much money, but the mortgage is only this much, then you might qualify for that loan. But you would just have to talk to somebody who specializes in that. And then you could also use OPM. You could use other people's money to raise capital to do this business. And then there's also creative financing, like a seller financed loan situation, like a subject to loan. Or you could get into a partnership where you bring the knowledge and your partner brings the money. All right, marketing. So, I saw that there was a question. So let me just get to the question. Do I have age group limits for each house? No, I don't. The only age limit I have is I only house adults. So I've got people who are 19 years old and I have people who are 65 and 70 years old. but I don't have any age limits in my house. If you want to, you can. There are some houses that are only for aged out foster care youth. So you could have people that are only between the ages of, say, 19 and 23 or something like that. But I don't do that in my houses. Let me just double check this. Oh, I think I had a question over here. Okay. Yes, no pool. Do you have an age? Okay, I just answered that. Oh, I got the same question twice from two different people. Extra money is always good. Yeah. No, I don't have an age limit. No pool just because of oh, thank you, brother new. Good to see you again. No pool because it's just a liability. And who's going to clean it? Like, it's just don't do a pool. Don't do it. Unless I take that back, unless I have a friend of mine who focuses only on working professionals and luxury type houses. With that kind of situation, maybe a pool is good. Not for what I'm talking about. Okay. As far as the cleanliness of the house, some people, some group home owners hire a cleaning crew. All of my group homes, they have chores, but they're not going to, depending on who you're housing, like one of my houses is very clean. One of my houses, not so much. So it's their standard versus my standard. And we have had a house meeting to talk about the standards, but some of the people are a little mental, some of them have some disabilities. So every once in a while, I just have to get somebody to come in and do a deep cleaning, but that's okay. They all do have assigned chores though. Yes, assigned chores. Okay. I think I answered all the questions. If not, I promise I will go back through. Okay, marketing. Now we're going to talk about getting these people. So this really marketing number 4 is the most important step, because if you don't fill the beds, then you don't have a business. So a lot of people, what their fear is that they're going to get this house and they're not going to be able to fill the beds. In my coaching program, I give you 101 ways to fill your beds. So you will fill your beds. So how do you find the right residents? You have to connect with caseworkers and placement agents and people who need housing. And you can do background checks if you want to. When I first started, I didn't do background checks, and I didn't care about if they had a felony conviction or not, because that's who I was housing. I was housing people with felony convictions. But if you want to do background checks, you can. The only people that I would not house are registered sex offenders. And I would ask them, I have an intake questionnaire, which I give you in my coaching program. And I would ask them if they're a registered sex offender. And you'd be surprised. They will tell you, yes, I'm a registered sex offender. So if they are, then I wouldn't house them, because all 3 of my houses are near schools. But I'm not saying that registered sex offenders don't deserve housing. They do deserve housing. I would like to have a house for registered sex offenders. But right now, I do not. So you can do background checks if you want to. Now I do background checks, but it's not because I'm doing them. It's because I hired an operations manager who already had access to doing background checks because he has a property management background. So he runs background checks on people just to see what we're dealing with. But we don't hold it against anyone. And we put that in our intake, is that we might do a background check, but we don't hold it against you. It doesn't prevent you from living with us. Okay, filling the beds. Okay, marketing materials. So I teach you in my program what marketing materials you need. That's a website, flyers, brochure. There's a whole list of things. You don't have to do all of them. My client, Janice, who just opened her house and has filled all of her beds in San Antonio, I taught her all the different ways to do marketing, all these fancy things, and she didn't do any of them. She made some flyers and she handed them out, and that's how she filled her beds. So it's up to you what you want to do. And I also teach you in my program how to do a year of emails to caseworkers in 1 day. Okay, let's see, make sure I covered everything there. Yeah, networking, you network with caseworkers and social workers. So do you think, usually I ask this question, but sometimes I get participation, sometimes I don't. Do you think that you would be able to find 8 people in your city, in your chosen city, wherever you want to open, 8 people in your city who are willing to share a room and pay a low price for their rent, a low all-inclusive rate for their rent. I think you can find 8 people. Yes or yes. Yes or yes. Can you find 8 people? All right. So we have covered, good, somebody's playing with me. Um, oh, you think it'd be hard? Okay, if you think it'll be hard, then it's gonna be hard. If you think it's gonna be easy, it's gonna be easy. I promise you, you will find your 8 people. All right. So we've covered 4 of the 6 steps, and I'm explaining at a very surface level right now. But I know that somebody in here wants to dive deeper, and somebody in here is interested in the coaching program. So before we move on to the last steps and the 6 steps of how to open your group home, is it okay if I take a couple of minutes to share how I can help you to open your group home in only 6 weeks? Hopefully that's okay with everybody here, because I know somebody here wants to do the coaching program. Okay, yes. Thank you. Thank you. I got the permission. So I'm going to move on. So like I said, this might not be for everybody, but I do know it's for somebody who's here in this room today. So it's perfect for somebody. So all of this would be easier if you had a mentor, if you had checklists and templates and somebody to hold you accountable, somebody who's been there, done that, still doing it. So it would benefit you to have this customized checklist and this program so that in 6 weeks, you can open your group home. So imagine 6 weeks from now, you have this property business on the side that profits you an extra $2,000 a month for you and your family. And this business changes lives, not only your life, but also it helps with the affordable housing crisis. And it gives you more time and more energy for the things that matter to you. So that's what I do. I have a coaching program. It's called the Group Home on Autopilot Startup Intensive. And it's designed to change your life and the lives of others in only 6 weeks. So I help people out, and this is what you get. It's on the slide. I won't read it to you, but you get all the templates, scripts, accountability. We meet with each other once a week. You have direct access to me. I make a custom to-do list for you. And you also have access to a very thorough online course. And you have lifetime access to the online course. Let me just throw in the chat. Oh, it's not letting me copy. People are asking me for the link. So I'm going to throw the link in the chat. Just 1 second. Let me just copy this. Okay, that's not that one. They're like, give me the link already. Okay. So that you can follow along. I'll give you the link. Boom. There's the link. Let me see if I can pin this comment. All right, let me give it to the Zoom too. My Zoom people. There you are. Yes, I see you. I see you. You're like, I'm ready. Okay, yeah. There you go. I gave you the link. Okay. Awesome. So let me get back to this. All right, so I just threw the link in the chat, and I'm also going to give you a different link in just a second. In case you're not interested in the one-on-one, I also have just the online course itself, and not the one-on-one with it, just self-paced. Okay, so who is my program for? You can read this slide here, but if you want to start investing in real estate, but maybe you just don't know how, or maybe you already are in real estate, but you're making that little $200, that poor little $200 a month that you're making, and you want to maximize that, this program is for you. Or maybe you just really have a heart for helping people. That's how Janice is. She just really wants to help people. She just wants to help with the affordable housing crisis. Maybe that's your story. So whatever sticks out to you on this slide, this is who I help. I got chats coming in. Okay, let me give you a little story from the American Society of Training and Development. They did a study. They said when people write down their goals privately and they don't mention it to anyone, they're not likely to reach their goals. But when they announce their goals to a coach or to a trusted friend, now they're 65% more likely to reach their goals. But when you give a progress report, a weekly progress report to your coach, now you're 95% more likely to reach your goal because you need a support system. You need somebody to hold you accountable. And that's me. I can hold you accountable and you will reach your goals. All right, let's do some myth busting. Let's do some myth busting here, these false beliefs. So people say, I need to own a house to have a group home. You don't. So you remember Kenya? I showed you Kenya, who had her open house event. It was called Haven Quarters. I showed you a little video. She does not own that house. That's a rental in Baltimore. She rents that house and she still makes money. She makes money by renting out the house. So you don't have to own the house at all. As a matter of fact, most people who do this business do not own the house. Almost everybody I know does not own the house. I happen to own all three, but you don't have to own the house. Also, people say homeless people don't have money. Well, you don't have to just house homeless people, number one. But number two, I do house some people who were housing insecure or homeless. And those people do have money. They just don't have enough money to pay for their own apartment a lot of times. A lot of the people who I house receive SSI or SSDI, so Social Security Disability Insurance, or they receive VA money. So they're veterans and they receive money, but the check that they receive is not enough to pay for their own place, plus water, plus internet, plus electric. They can't do all of those. So that's why they live with me and they either have a private room or a shared room and they pay this one low monthly rate and it includes all their utilities. Okay, running a home will be a full-time job. Not the way I teach it. Not the way I teach it. I had a full-time job this entire time up until July. I had a full-time job while I had my group home. So no, it doesn't take up all your time. And then you won't be able to fill the beds. So I teach you exactly how to fill your beds. And when you have a support system, when you have a coach, you're going to fill your beds because I help you. I help you along the way. Like I said, my client, Kenya, filled 5 of her 9 beds the first week. Okay, do you get paid directly from SSI or your tenant or resident pay you money? So you can either way. Right now, all of my people are private pay, which is very risky. That's the riskiest way to accept money. And that's actually coming up on another slide. But you can also have them go through what's called a representative payee. I'll put that in the chat. Representative payee. And that's, we talk about it in my program as well. So if you have them go through a representative payee, then their check that they receive from SSI goes to this representative payee company. The representative payee company then pays you for their rent. So it's less risk because you have this responsible third party that's involved. And you can also become the representative payee. You can become the representative payee for the people. That's some paperwork, but you can. I'm not, but you can become the representative payee. And you just sign up through SSA.gov, through the Social Security office. And then now you're receiving their money and you pay your company to pay their rent. And then you give them their allowance. So that's another way. Okay, here's 2 of my client success stories, Kenya and Janice. So I have interviewed both of them and both of their interviews are on my YouTube channel if you're interested. Janice, I just have like a little video I did at her open house. I went to her open house event that she had, but I need to go back and get another interview with her now that she's filled all her beds. All right, let's get to the next slide. What time is it? Oh, it's already 5. Okay, so here's, people ask, how much is it? How much is it? Let me just show you how much it is. Usually I say, book a call with me. Here it is. Here's your investment. And this is the 2025 price. This is for the startup intensive. This is why I'm doing all of these calls right now, this month and next month, because the price is going up, but so is what you get. And I will show you on an upcoming slide what you get based on the feedback that I've gotten from my coaching clients so far. They want additional help, and they want, not that they didn't fill their beds, they all fill their beds, but they want 90 days additional of more coaching, and they would appreciate like a done for you website and things like that. So I have added to what you're going to get next year, but the price has also increased. So what I want is, if you're interested, I want you to go ahead and jump on now while the price is so low. Okay, so the startup intensive, here's what you get. You get these 6 one-on-one coaching calls with me every week. So you go through the modules, you go through all the video modules, and there's a workbook, and there's sheets and documents and templates. There's all kinds of stuff, scripts. And I also give you your customized to-do list. So you've got all these action items to do each week. And I meet with you every week. And then you also have lifetime access to the training. And the price is $4,500. I do have a payment plan though. So don't get scared on the $4,500. So here's the payment plan. You can do 2 payments of $23.99, or you can just pay it in full. And if you click on, when I put it in the chat already, the link, but if you click on pay in full, there's actually other payment plan options, because you guys have probably heard of Klarna or Afterpay. There's a Klarna option on there. And so if you click on Klarna, there's all kinds of different ways you can chop that up, that 4,500. You can do like weekly, monthly, like it has all different ways to make a payment plan on your own based on between you and Klarna. So if you want to take advantage of the 4,500, which is $298 less than this payment plan here that I set up, then go ahead and do that. Okay, so let me wrap this up because we're almost done. We only have 2 more steps. Real quick though. Uh-oh. Can you guys see? Yeah, you can see it. Let me just make sure you can see this slide. Uh-oh. Okay, so I actually have another option. The other option is that you can just do the self-paced. The self-paced course does not come with coaching, and that course is only $19.97. And so I'm going to give you the link to the self-paced course, because as soon as you click on that, you get instant access, and you have lifetime access. You can go through the modules when you want to go through the modules. Yes, the self-paced course includes all the templates. The only thing that the self-paced course does not include is the one-on-one coaching calls with me. So if you want to do the self-paced course, then I'm going to give you the link right now. Hold on one second. I'll give you this link. It's grouphome-on-autopilot.com/online course, but I'm going to put it in the chat. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. And I'm going to put it in the chat to you guys over here. There we go. I got the Zoom and I got the YouTube. So we've got the 2 options. And this is a brand new slide, by the way. I've never shown this slide before. So you've got the startup intensive, which is the coaching. I feel like if you're going to go with the startup intensive, this is somebody who's very serious, and they're like, I want my group home open, and I want you to have my group home open with me. It's like a done with me program, and we're going to have this thing going in 6 weeks. Whereas the self-paced online is kind of, you're still feeling things out. You're kind of half in, half out. You don't know. Or maybe you've already done all your research on YouTube University and you're like, I don't need the one-on-one. I just need that self-paced course. And then I can refer back when I need to refer back. So there's that. Okay. Now let me go on to the next slide. If you have questions about the course though, just throw it in the chat and I promise I will get back to it. Okay. This is what you're going to get in 2026. So, okay. Can I do self-paced first? And then if I need to do one-on-one, can I do it, but deduct the $19.97? You know what? Nobody's ever asked me that before, but yes, because I've never actually shown the self-paced. Yes, I will honor that. I just have to set it up. I will honor that. Yes. Thank you for asking that. Okay, so next year I am going to On the left-hand side here is all the things that you get right now. These are all things you get right now. But based on feedback, people want additional time, additional mentorship. And also, it'd be nice if they didn't have to go out and get their own website made. And then also, they want a head start on some leads. So, what I'm going to give you, I completely understand, Arlen. The government shutdown is, woof, that's a doozy, I tell you. This is not the time to be spending a whole bunch of money. Not that I'm trying to talk anybody out of this, but times are hard. Okay, so next year the price will be $9,900 because you're going to get the 90 days of mentorship, and you're going to get the done for you website, and you're going to get 100 verified leads. So I want to show you this so that you can see that if you're serious, you want this, go ahead and jump on it now because the price is going up. It is going up. Okay, let's get back to this. Last two steps, because I know that people are probably about to turn into a pumpkin. It's 5:06 here on the Best Coast. I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's 5:06. Okay, so we've talked about mindset. We talked about setting up the business, getting the house, marketing, but what about the day-to-day operations? I got you on the day-to-day. So module 5, we talk all about the day-to-day operations. That's the intake process, setting expectations and the house rules, challenges and things like that. You know, we can talk horror stories. I can tell you everything that I've seen. I've seen a lot. There's actually an interview with me with a different company that interviewed me to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, a horror story that I had with a resident. So I've been through a lot. And the thing is, you can pay for mentorship and get a head start on knowing what challenges to expect, or you could pay for mistakes. It's like you don't pay either way, like pay for mentorship or pay for mistakes. So instead of going through some of the things that I've been through, get a mentor, whether it's me or somebody else. Get a mentor so that you can learn from the things that they did wrong. So learn from my mistakes. And that's a part of my coaching program too. I teach you all the things that I did wrong that I should not have done. So anyway, ways to collect rent. Okay, so here's somebody asked me a question about collecting rent. So there are a lot of different ways to collect rent, and it's up to you. You're in charge of your business. It's up to you on how you want to collect the rent. But there are levels of risk involved too. So the most risky is private pay. Private pay is the most risky. That's the person goes to work, the person gets paid, they pay you. That's private pay. That's risky because sometimes it depends on your demographic, by the way, but the demographic that I cater to, a lot of times they end up in need of affordable housing because of the mistakes that they've made in the past with their financial management. So they're in this position because they didn't pay their bills on time and things like that. So that's very risky to take the private pay. And then the next level up would be a family member pays. So if a family member is paying, that's better than private pay because a family member is more than likely more concerned about their credit score, evictions, and all that kind of stuff. So you have them co-sign the lease. And then the next step up from that is a representative payee. And that's what I talked about already earlier today. And then there's where you become the representative payee, which is less risky than hiring a representative payee. And then the last way is getting paid directly from a sponsoring organization. Now, when I first opened my group home, it was in 2020. And it was actually like right during the pandemic, like towards the end of the pandemic. And actually, it was December 2020. And so during that time, even though it was a pandemic, organizations, nonprofits were still getting grant money from the federal government. And now they do get grant money, but not as much as before because of the change in administration. So they were getting grant money, and they would sometimes pay a place like mine 6 months in advance and just pay for somebody to live there and then continue to pay for them to live there with this grant money. Now, I have not come across that lately, but I also haven't been looking lately. I have private pay people and they're paying on time. So it's up to you. I don't want to get too far in the weeds because that's in the coaching program, but it is up to you as far as what payments you will accept. I use a tenant management system called Rent Ready. And Rent Ready has auto pay. So you can also require your people to sign up for Rent Ready's auto pay so that the money just comes automatically to you. Now, of course, they can put a stop payment on that, but at least you have that feeling of security that you've made them sign up for auto pay. And then you can also set up payment reminders within Rent Ready, the tenant management system. In my program, I also go over what rules to implement, the intake questionnaire, the lease, the house signs, everything is in there. So now you've got the house open, you filled the beds, you're pocketing money every month. So now what? What do? This is the last step. This is where we turn it into that well-oiled machine. And this last step is actually what separates me from all the other gurus that are out there teaching group home management, because there are a lot of group home coaches. I won't say a lot, but there's a number of group home coaches out there that will teach you this stuff. And you can go with whoever you vibe with. But this is the difference between me and my program and the other ones that are out there, is the autopilot stuff. The apex of the pyramid, let's go there. So this is, once you get through all the hard knocks of opening your house and the learning curve of opening your house, you're going to be ready for the next house. But how do you do that remotely? And it doesn't have to be remote. It could be that you just don't want to spend all your time on your group home or in your group home. So this is where I teach you the exact toolkit that I have set up, which includes web tools, cameras, like all the different things that I have set up so that my business runs so efficiently. It's amazing the way I have it set up. So I teach you my toolkit, and I teach you my weekly actions, monthly actions, quarterly actions, and then also how to clone yourself by hiring an operations manager. So I teach you how to find your operations manager, what his or her duties are going to be, how to pay them, all that stuff. So that's the autopilot stuff. Okay, so I have covered all of the steps. I try to finish within an hour and a half, and it is 5:12 here. So I've covered all the 6 steps on how to open your group home. And I really hope that somebody has gotten something out of this and that you took notes. I'll remind you, in case you missed it the first time, my startup intensive is a 6-week coaching program. It is one-on-one. I don't take very many people. I take a handful of people at a time, because once I start working with you, I'm invested. I'm invested in your success, and I'm working with you very closely to make sure that you open your group home and you fill your beds. So this is the price here, $4,500. And I put the links in the Zoom, and I also put it on the YouTube. Let me just see if there's, is your program set up like a landlord tenant? Yes. You mean like my group home? My group homes are, yes, they're set up like landlord tenants. So instead of having one tenant, I have multiple tenants. And yes, that sounds like a headache, but it doesn't have to be, because the way I teach it, it's not a headache. And then as a reminder, I do have a payment plan of $23.99, which is 2 payments, or the $4,500. And the $23.99 is you pay it, and then a month later you pay $23.99. And then I also have just an online course, which is $1,997. Okay, I'm going to do Q&A now. So let me stop the share and get to, hopefully you guys can, okay. Oh, thank you, Andrea. Definitely less scary when you're doing it with a coach. Yeah, definitely. Okay, are there any other oh, I see there's a question. Okay. Oh, okay, I already answered that one. Did that one. Let me just close this. Okay. Oh, okay, I see some. What are the cons? Oh, I can, you know what? There's let me go to my YouTube. There's a whole video of a horror story. Well, I'll just tell you that some of the common challenges. I'll just say that. So some of the common challenges are the most common are people not paying their rent on time and people stealing food. Those are the biggest challenges. There are some other crazy ones, but oh, personality. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of different personalities, and we go over that in my coaching program. You really have to have the personality to handle all those different personalities, and you can't be how do I want to, you don't want to be mean, but you want to hold your standards. You just want to hold your standards. So if you have certain rules, you can't be too nice. You have to hold everybody to the rules, to the house rules. So if you're a person who's like scared of different personalities and things like that, then that might not be the role that you want to be in. You might want to hire an operations manager to be the one who deals with the people and you just deal with the business side. Great question. Great question. But I don't know if it's on my YouTube or if it's on the other YouTube of Group Home Riches. I had podcasts that I was on and I told a whole horror story. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything on YouTube. Okay. Nope. Okay. Oh, here's another one. How much do you pay the operations manager? It's really up to you. It's up to you how much you want to pay the operations manager. But I pay mine a lot. I pay my operations manager $100 per month per filled bed. So if there are 15 beds that are full for that month, he gets paid $1,500. It used to be that I just paid him one amount no matter what beds were full, and then we would have attrition. We'd have people that left and then the bed would be empty, and I'm like, why am I paying for this if we don't have anybody in there? So now he's incentivized to fill the beds. So that worked out. I do not allow them to eat in the bedrooms. No, that's a great question. I do not allow them to eat in the bedrooms because you don't want a pest problem. You don't want to end up with roaches and things like that or bed bugs. I don't allow outside furniture either. I used to, but I don't allow outside furniture anymore because now if there's a couch on the side of the road or something, a nightstand or something, it might be full of bed bugs. I don't know if that used to be a thing back in the day. I feel like bed bugs is kind of new. Was that thing back in the 70s and 80s? I don't think so. But anyway, I don't allow outside furniture and I don't allow them to eat in their bedrooms. I really appreciate all these questions and comments. Thank you. Okay, was there another one? Nope. Okay, it looks like there's no more questions. Oh, let me put in the chat if you want to just meet with me one-on-one before you decide that you want to do this program. Actually, you know what? Let's do it like this. Let me just send you guys this. Sign up for my email list. And if you get an email from me, just reply. Just reply to the email. I answer the emails. So, Andrea, I don't remember bed bugs back in the day. Me neither. Is that new? I don't remember bed bugs. I'm showing my age. So if you're not on my email list, I do send out tips. I send out tips and also announcements, like if I'm going to go live or something like that. I send it out to all my email subscribers. So go ahead and join my list. And when you get an email from me, if you reply back to it, I will reply to you. So go ahead and sign up. And then I feel like I'm putting too many links in the chat, but so there's just grouphomeonautopilot.com. And then there's the online course link that I put. Can I pin? No, I can't pin it on Zoom. And there's the startup intensive link that I put. Thank you, Arlen. I appreciate that. And I guess I could put the link to my calendar. I feel like I'm overwhelming y'all with links, but it's all over my YouTube too. You can see the link to my calendar there. And if you want to have just a free few minute call with me to clarify some things before you sign up, that's fine. My calendar's up to date, so I just put that in the chat too. Okay, I think that's it. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. I'm gonna end. I don't know if I can end the YouTube but stay on the Zoom. I think I can. Let me see. Mm-mm-mm. Let's see here. Live stream. Yep, I can. All right. Bye, YouTube people. Bye bye. Thank you.